Today we're putting up the Star of David. Dancing. A car had parked outside the church and its radio was playing very loudly, a thump-thumping rhythm that made the water in the font ripple. The boy jumped about to the music, trying to tap his bare heels together in midair. "Confounded racket," complained the old man. "Stop that jigging, can't you? Remember where you are. Is that another rule? No dancing in church?" The carpenter made a noise like a grumpy camel. "Humph. Do you want me to go on telling you about David or not?" Luckily, David found a good friend in the king's son, Jonathan. In fact, David and Jonathan became the kind of friends who start singing in the same key, who start speaking at the same moment. They were inseparable. Together, David and Jonathan and King Saul cut down the Philistines like a field of corn. As the conquering army trooped home, women and girls came out to dance and sing in the streets. Saul has killed thousands. David has killed tens of thousands. Over and over, Saul muttered the words under his breath. They rankled. David, tens of thousands. Jealousy chewed on him like a dog. Suddenly, the mere sight of David sitting there plucking a gentle tune on his harp was enough to cloud Saul's vision with red smoke. Picking up a spear, he hurled it. David ducked. The spear hit the wall and stuck there trembling. David fled. Jonathan went after him. "Stop. Wait, I can talk my father around. I've done it before, haven't I?" The friends clung to each other, dreading the power in spite of the king. "Hide there, behind those rocks," said Jonathan. "Tomorrow I'll come and practice archery here. If I shoot short, it means it's safe for you to come back. If I shoot past you," it was hard to think about. Best friends might need to be parted. The next day, Jonathan went out with his bow. His fingers fumbled the bowstring. His arrows flew with a noise like a sucking breath way out over the rocks, over the crouching figure of David. David had to leave. It was no longer safe to stay. Madness, like a raven, sat on the king's shoulder, whispering terrible thoughts into his ear. Saul now looked on David as an enemy to be hunted down and killed. David could have fought back, but he was a good enough soldier. Once he even chanced on Saul in a cave and could have killed him then and there. But David settled for slicing the fringe off Saul's cloak. "If I wanted to kill you, I could have done so today," he said, half reproachful, half taunting, "but I would never lift a finger against you." Saul's heart was no more softened than a stone in a stream. He went to war with David, body and soul. Faced with this madness, some of Saul's troops deserted him and went over to David's side. The Philistines, meanwhile, rubbed their hands with glee and closed in for the kill. In a disastrous battle, Saul and 3 of his sons were killed. One of those sons was Jonathan. "Oh, Jonathan, Jonathan," the cry that broke from David's throat was like a bell falling from its tower and breaking. Thanks to the Philistines, David had become king of Israel, and he was inconsolable. But King David believed in God and he believed in Israel. He pulled together the unhappy divided nation and rode out to conquer her enemies. When the fighting was over, David determined to take the Ark of the Covenant, abandoned by the superstitious Philistines, to God's holy city, Jerusalem. It had been carried into battle, stored in tents in private houses, traipsed through deserts and over mountains. Now David brought it on a brand new cart, escorted by a mounted guard of 30,000 men. And there were cymbals clashing, tambourines rattling, pipes and lyres and bells, and he danced and he danced. With the music pounding on the car radio outside, the boy too began to dance. Eyes shut, both hands raised, swaying in time to the beat. With the clatter, the church door opened and a lady with her arms full of gladioli came in. At the sight of a barefoot boy dancing up and down the aisle, her mouth and eyes narrowed to slits. "What is that child doing, Mr. Butterfield?" The carpenter's mild reply shocked her even more. "Just dancing, Miss Grimley, like King David did in Jerusalem, dancing before the Lord."